Welcome back to On the Record. I'm here with Greg Tobin who is the General Manager for D&H Canada and a longtime friend. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you very much, Robert, and thank you very much you and public for the opportunity to speak to you today.
Yeah, so there's a lot going on in the industry these days. Like I guess every year we say that, don't we? But there's so much with the technology that's going on now, and then the way you deliver it and all of that. Let's start with some of the more things that are really more important to a VAR and their customers. So I guess it's bring your own beer. I'm sorry, bring your own device.
Yeah. Robert, I would say in terms of what's important to the VAR and the customer, it's probably been consistent from the last 20 years or so. The most important thing that the VAR brings to the customers is the intellectual property that they have, and that's how to put the systems together, the interoperability. The end user today is looking for a seamless experience. They're looking to make sure that their devices that they bring on board, and you mentioned it by talking about BYOD, we see that it's prominent everywhere. We've got individuals joining the workforce that will be using their own devices, whether it be a smartphone, a tablet, an ultrabook, and that represents all new challenges for the conventional IT manager in terms of security, breaches, confidentiality of the information. And from the end user's perspective, they want that whole experience to be seamless. And that there is the value add equation that justifies the value added reseller. They take all the mystique out of that, so that the small, medium business can focus on what they do, which is take care of their customers. And the solution provider takes care of the network, the security, the storage, all of those things. So you're absolutely right that the industry reinvents itself every year. But the one constant is that need for the value-added reseller to pull it all together, to be that trusted advisor, the solution provider, so once again, they can focus on what is important, taking care of their customers, and have the solution provider take care of the back-end needs for it. And that's the glue. That is the value.
So let's take that and go into a more micro level and talk about bring your own devices. So what's the real problem with that?
Well, bringing your own device, in the past it was, we would want to restrict the device due to confidentiality. It could bring in viruses behind the firewall. Gone are the days where you could restrict the device. The device will be operating behind the firewall. Where we'll be looking at doing it is restricting the applications on the device. So the device will be able to get in beyond the firewall, but there will be certain applications that the IT manager will say, I don't want that part of working on my network. Whether it could be a social media for whatever reason, or it could be some sites that individuals go to. Let's restrict that as opposed to the actual device itself. And with that brings productivity. We're becoming a much more productive workforce due to mobility. In the last 2 weeks, and in being introduced today in the Canadian market, is a new app, D&H app. And that app is for mobile applications for iPod and iPhone, where the customer, the reseller, at any point in time can use on their mobile device, can place an order, can scan a product with a UPC code. All of the information comes up on their phones or their mobile devices. If they're an SMB reseller and they're out and they need a cable to complete an install, they can place that order, go pick it up at D&H right away. We are working towards productivity, and that's the way we are, as an industry, we're working towards increasing the level of productivity through mobile devices, and applications become so much more prominent than they were 2 years ago.
Okay, so let's talk about D&H for just a couple of minutes because we're pretty much out of time. D&H has grown phenomenally over the last few years. in Canada, how is it doing?
In Canada, we've done extremely well. Continue to outpace the industry. Last year we grew at 31%. This year, the first 3 months of the fiscal year starting in May the 1st, we're up a little over 27%. And I would say that really comes down to the fundamental core of value that we deliver. We focus on a high-touch model. We're traditionally, a competitor might zig, we would zag. We tend to be contrarian. We want to make sure that we're hitting on all cylinders and applying resources. So at times when the economy gets tighter, traditional thought is to pull back, cut back on resources. That is actually the best time to invest. Why? Because if it's something such as your inventory levels, if you cut back on your inventory levels because the economy is tightening, who suffers from that? The vendors suffer from it, the customers suffer from it. It's not as enriched an experience. So we will always err on the side of investing in a down economy to make sure that when the economy does come back, and we always do, we go through cycles, that we're in the best position possible for that growth.
Yeah. There's a lot of little things though that D&H does, like, take for example today, you're here in Mississauga, which is just outside of Toronto, and you're putting on a show for a half-a-day show. How many vendors do you have?
We'll have in excess of 50 vendors at today's show, and our attendance for reseller count will exceed 400. We're going to focus very heavily on training seminars, and then we have our trade show that will go later on in the afternoon. But everything is focused towards tailor-made training, understanding what the needs are. Some of the other things that D&H does is we understand that we need to take training on the road. We need to take it to the cities in which they're in. And we need to do it in a manner that's cost effective. So we do webinars, we do virtual seminars via the web. Where it's cost justified, we'll take a traveling road show, but we'll only want to focus on several solutions because we want to make sure that the audience is not a smorgasbord of resellers and customers. We want to make sure that it's apropos. The message that we're giving them is tailor-made for that audience because what we want to be able to do is judge the ROI of those shows based upon the success that we give to those resellers. And if we can make them more successful, teaching them new technologies, helping them with products in advance of the life cycle, that's going to make them more effective in the solutions that they do. And that's how we win.
Thank you for being on the show. It's always a pleasure having you.
Thank you very much, Robert. Greatly appreciate it.